This work.
Did you know the more girl trees we plant, the less pollen there will be? Learn more.
It's hard to believe that Mint Mobile can get any better, but really, all it takes is a little imagination. Oh, sorry, I'm not ready for this. Mint and my new film, If, are
3D
teaming up.
medic.
Film, If, are
3D
teaming up.
medic. Pause. Oh. Go. And matchmaker space. Up. Oh, I finally got bucks on my. Hey, big and bad. How are you doing? Go ahead. Little trick for you guys if you have ooh, Wendy's. Out in the car. If you guys have Google Rewards, you know, you can only use that money in the Google Play Store. Got $10.36 in there. Well, every time I hit $10, I just send myself a super chat. That's a way of converting the Google Rewards money into cash. This one. That does. Why is my so I should be able to send myself the amount of money I have in my rewards balance. Yes. Sweet. You lose 30% of it because Google takes 30%. Oh, that's good, Jerry. Google takes 30% of super chats, which is why I don't use it. But it's the only way I've found that you can convert Google Rewards money to actual cash in your use it to buy things. Credits and apps, app store. But you can also use it in super chats, part of your Play Store balance. So that's a way of converting for Google Rewards money to actual cash. So whenever you see me do that, that's why I'm converting my rewards cash into actual cash. It's a roundabout way of doing it, but I'm okay with that. At least I got another what, $7.30 in cash. I'll take it. We have still been incredibly lucky here. Still haven't had to turn on the air conditioner. My electric bill last month was $150. I think that's the lowest it's ever been since I got here. This month will be a tiny bit higher because I've had the printer going almost nonstop. That printer is $30 a month if I run it 24/7. But I've last week we made these, which by the way it still isn't big enough. I actually filled the whole thing. It's all full. Through all the juice packets. Basically a storage container for all my juice packets. So now the cats can't get in, stick them all over the place. They like playing with the little packets. I used to have them in little Walmart bags. First, they like cutting through the plastic. Also, cats like playing with the packets. I guess they're small. Grab onto them and flick them all over the floor. Now I have a nice container to store them in. Reprinting another one. This not print well. Lower down to 0.2 millimeter height. Well, also putting slots on the back here. Lid to store on the back when you. I'll print another one of those. Other print. Because after making that curved shape, that gave me an idea. I do all four sides like that. Make a vase. The answer is yes. The smaller ones have a 6 millimeter bottom. It's just still then perfect top layers. Still imperfection in that top layer. I have to treat it as two models. Basically, I drop the model into the slicer twice. I assign the first 6 millimeter process to the first model, rest of the process to the second model. See if I try to do it in one single process, Simplify 3D and every other slicer out there, they try to be intelligent as one solid model, even though separate instructions. So, for example, I told it to do 5 top layers, top surface here. Well, it won't do solid top surface. Instead, the area where the wall of the vase is open infill. You know how the slicer does. Place that's interior space doesn't get the top layer. Well, that creates two problems. First problem is that infill isn't in this tight infill isn't tight enough for the bridge, because you're going to end up with edges of your top layer that are over open air. So it's just going to the second problem your top layers are going, because it's going to have to slowly build up those top layers until it's solid. And last problem you're going to, especially with my particular, at the top tends to delaminate. That's because the vase double wall sitting on top of below it, because the layers below it are compromised because it handles that. The whole model becomes compromised. Typically, what will happen, you'll either pull it off or moved, but so what'll happen is either you'll be able to rip off the bottom, or you'll drop it and the bottom will break off, because it's not really solidly attached to the model. When you're doing a fat vase, not a big deal. But when you have an actual substantial bottom to the vase, I want these to be functional, so I wanted a substantial bottom and 6 thick. That creates a problem. In fact, I can probably show you. Well, this one. Well, this 2. Copy these. Group. And well, these are going to have same. That one. Slice. So now let me show you. And this will be the same in Cura and Slicer. They all do the same. See, we have a solid bottom. I have, first of all, you start getting this kind of, not even giving me all my top layers. It is. There's my top layers. Problem? See how it's not putting anything here? Well, that means you have to hope that this edge is built up well enough for the top of the vase here to actually attach to it. Half the time, it's not strong enough. So as you can see, look at it from underneath, you'll see what I'm talking about. See? All this is hanging in the air, hanging in the air, hanging in the air. All this is hanging in midair. This is stupid. Slicers should not be doing this. None of the slicers should say, well, it's working as designed. Well, design it differently. You make the software do it. These should not, at least one of these layers needs to be solid. And this, ideally, this first layer needs to be solid. This first layer needs to go all the way to the edge. So that, or it needs to be smart enough to go to where the nearest bridging edge, which in this case would be all the way to the edge. You know, it needs to go, if this infill were tighter, for example, this layer here should be the shape of the infill. You know, it should be whatever, wherever the next, like this piece, this line here should go to here, go to there. That's where there's an edge that'll actually hold that line up. These lines go to here. Same thing over here, for example. Oh, this better example. Okay, this line should go to here. Line should go to here. Line should go to here. Right, so that this is all supported. So the only way I could figure out how to do that in the slicer was to do this. So there's my processes. You can see the two sets of processes here. This area down here and this area up here. So this here, this first one is the 6mm bottom part here. Then this second one is the vase, top of it, which is something else that's really hard to do in the slicers. The slicers not let you switch back and forth between vase and regular. You have to cut the model into pieces, apply separate processes to separate pieces. Haven't tried. Simplify just. So the way I do it is there's two models here. See, it's actually two models sitting right on top of each other. Just drop the model in twice. If the models happen to separate, select them both and go to align origins. They'll sit on top of each other. Same model. Then what you can do is you can group them. Now, once they're grouped, I can move. So I can now manipulate them. They'll manipulate as a group. I can center. They'll center together. If they're not grouped, center does that. It knows there's two objects. But once I group them, it treats those two objects as one object. Now I can pair of objects. I can center them. And I can do multiple pairs if I want. Group them together. It's a handy feature. Now in this one here, it slices properly. Looks exactly the same, except this process only affects this model, and this process only affects this model. So now it's no longer merging the two together as one object, even though I told it not to. Separate processes. I told it I want 5 top layers. It didn't give me 5 top layers. It gave me 5 partial top layers. Because it's smart enough to know it's printing more model on top of it. So to force it to forget that, I use multiple models. So this process is assigned to model 1. This process is assigned to model 2. Now it thinks it's working with separate objects. Now when I slice it, it does it correctly. Now it slices this and gives me solid top layer. It's the way it should be. The reason it should be that way is because now these layers are, first of all, they're solid. I have 4 top layers. There's 5, but the first one's sacrificial. First one's always going to have bridging issues, no matter how tight you make it. So you do 5. Now you got 4 solid top layers. Although I gotta say that printer in that first top layer was pretty good. I was really impressed by that. Really clean. So now when it prints, now it's switching into process number 2, model number 2. Now it correctly prints the vase on top of a solid base. Now this isn't a drooping edge that isn't firm. This is a proper, thick, supported, securely attached platform, kind of like a raft, but it's a proper base, so that when this vase layer goes down, it's actually melting in. Actually, the problem when now my vase is properly attached. Get a good solid vase. And the other thing I do is, first of all, this is my double wall technique. So look at path. You'll notice that one of these, that one, that one, that one. This one here, notice goes all the way through, open on both ends. But the rest of these are open on one end. Here, it's closed here. 3 perimeters also gives me a solid base for outside closure. Make sure it fuses. Now what happens when you slice this, does the outside, then it comes inside, does little notches like this. And it comes outside again. Have a valid toolpath for vase mode. I also extrude vase. Not only is it double wall with curved ribs, which look really slick. And the ribs are the same curve as the vase itself. But not only are they curved ribs, and not only are there ribs, and not only is there a double wall, but I always extrude my vase at 1.2 multiplier. So basically, I'm extruding a 0.5 millimeter extrusion out of a 0.4 millimeter. The result is you get a real vase. Now I have a complete vase with a nice solid bottom, not watertight, not close. I pour water in here. It might be possible to make it watertight, but that would be tricky. But that's okay. These are not. Yeah, this is a real strong, good, rigid vase. This is tough. Not this is not your normal thin wall vase that you crush and done. So even with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, with curves, extrusion multiplier increase, double wall, and ribs, complex vase mode technique, get a surprisingly strong unit out of 105 grams of over 100 grams. So it's lightweight and it's strong. It takes a long time to print. 10 hours to print? Which is a long time for 100 grams. But I found that slower just end up with that beautiful finish when you go. I love how the rib shine through like that. I decided that I really like the open top better than the closed top. Closed top just look tacky. I just open it. That was my first one. I made another one. So, pearl metallic from Atomic. Candy Blast from. That came out really nice. Then I thought, can I make a bunch of other shapes? So I'm making a whole range of shapes from 1D to 6D. This one's called 4D. Got 4 sides. And then I made a little 4D, like a single or two. Came out really nice. I use the exact same profile for all of them. Just make sure that that bottom thick layer is always 6 millimeters thick. I just drop the model in and hit slice. That's the profile because they're all identical except for shape. Hey, Joe. So that's 4D, and then I made a 3D, which is triangle. So same shape, but triangle. In the blood diamond red from Atomic Filament. One of my favorite colors. Tends to come out pink on video because of the way the pearlescent metallic reflects the light. Really a deep golden pearl metallic sheen. Camera, that gold with the red comes out pink. In real life, it's red, gold, pearl. And then, of course, I made 5D, five-sided. One of my favorites. This came out nice. That's just a nice balance of large without being too large. Pentagon came out. Still have to do the hexagon. Have to have a that came out real nice. This is just trans orange, all PETG comic. Then I made a 2D one, which is really a 4D with one side squid. It's a long narrow. Again, it's all 6mm bottoms, hex infill, all multi-wall vase mode. So the prints are always perfect. Fractions and travel move. Not real nice. I'm going to put all of these up on the different sites for probably $10, $12, something like that. You'll get them all. You guys, well, my patrons will get them for free. Anybody who's a Patreon, I'll post these to members there. I'll probably post the 4D one, probably the little one. Post that one for free. I'm thinking download them and print themselves. I'm also thinking about trying my hand at selling heated models. So get the bill for, like, for example, you put marbles in the bottom, that they're bottom heavy. Fill it with the fake grass and you put flowers in it. Think about making whole bouquet. Selling artificial flower bouquets. See if that sells or interesting. I don't know. What do you think? Would you be buying that, or is that a lost cause? I have no idea if there's a market for that. But using PETG, I can ship that kind of stuff. I'm very, very bad at it, so custom. Get whatever I happen to have. I'll get it all done, photographed, put it in a box, ready to have a label. If somebody buys one, I label, put it in the mail. Because otherwise I'll forget. And 3 weeks later, they'll be like, hey, where's the flowers? Oh, shit, I don't know. Oh, there's the box. Yeah, I can't do that. Still have to make the 1D. I have to make the 6D hexagon. And the 1D is going to be this same shape, but round. So it'll have one surface dimension. Basically, I'm treating dimensions as surfaces. This has 4 faces, 4 surfaces. I was surprised how nice that the little one, this one came out surprisingly nice. Put a couple marbles down in the bottom there. That'll provide the balance. Flower doesn't make. I'll either print a circular insert that'll have a hole in the middle, flower, then you stick that in here, or just a piece of foam, that green foam. Shove that in there, flower in that. I'll have to see what's better. Probably put some Easter grass on top. Yeah, I'm pleased. I love this candy. It's the bright hot pink with a pearl metallic. It's just really nice. Love those curved ribs. Not only they add to the aesthetic, they look nice, but they do strengthen it too. This is a strong vape. 'Strong. 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 ' This one could probably handle being knocked off the counter and fine. In that case, I'll tell people don't put marbles in the bottom. Have too much weight in this. It's have too much mass around. It'll crack. It's plastic. You got to treat it like a ceramic or glass vase. It's the hard floor. Break. But something like this, no weight in the bottom, while it'll be easy to tip over. What I tell people to do then is you get that blue tack stuff, you know, up, put a piece of tack on the four corners, stick it down. That'll keep it as easy knocked over like. But something this light is 36 grams. Something this light, weight of flowers in it, won't break when it hits. It's light enough that it's just not going to break. It's not. Pack that bottom full of marbles, and now you've got enough mass that when it smacks the ground might. So it all depends on the environment. It's a centerpiece in a bowl, put weight in it. Not likely to be knocked over. You just don't want it to be shoved around so easily. But if it's a little one sitting on a countertop, you might want to not have weight. That when it does, inevitably knocked off the table. I'm impressed. I think I like it. The audio should cut out completely. Stop talking. Oh, maybe my noise gate might be aggressive. So does lower make it less sensitive, or does higher make it less? Let's try that. Okay, it still turns off, and it's now staying on when I'm talking. It's possible my noise gate is too sensitive, and when I stop talking for too long, it's gonna cut out the audio, which is gonna make it sound like the audio is cutting in and out. But how do I adjust it to make it better? So is that better, what I have now? Okay. So down does make it better. And let me turn it down a little more. All I need to do is cut off the background. So there we go. Yeah, the background's being cut out, and it's still hearing me talk. So let me know if it's better, worse, or if I can tune it down more. Because I don't have a noisy background, but I have a fan going in there, and I have the water fountain going here, and then you have the little bit of noise the ceiling fan creates. So I just wanted to have a gate to cut that out, so you don't have that drone when there's silence. But yeah, my creative juices got going last week, and I just kind of went crazy and started making models. So I only have 2 left to make. I got to make the 1D, which I'll probably have to do in Fusion. I'll just have to take this outline and revolve it. And then I can export that shape into Tinkercad and then do my vase mode trick. Since I don't know how to do the vase mode trick in Fusion. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to make a conformal shape in Fusion. I could probably do it using offset, but then how do I do a Boolean cut line that matches that offset? I don't know how to do that in Fusion. Boy, I wish I could do it parametrically. Oh, that'd be wonderful if I could do it parametrically. Because then I could scale it. See, one of the consequences of making models like this is you cannot scale them. Well, technically you can. You can scale them by nozzle diameter. So this was designed for a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So if I switch to a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, I can make this half the size. If I switched it to a 0.8 millimeter nozzle, I can make this double the size. Or I can go at 150% scale and use a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, or 250% scale and use a 1 millimeter nozzle. So as long as you scale it precisely to your nozzle diameter, then you can scale it. But you can't scale it in between. Well, for example, this, I can make it 20% bigger and then tell the slicer to extrude a 0.5 millimeter line, and that would work, because that would be 0.4 to 0.5 would be a 25% scale increase. So I could scale my extrusion 25%. Basically, the extrusion and the scale have to match. However much you scale the model, you must be able to scale your nozzle diameter exactly the same amount. Because if you don't, for example, if you go to a 0.8 millimeter nozzle, but you only scale this to 0.6 millimeter size, then your ribs are not going to touch. No, I'm sorry. The ribs will poke through. When you slice it, instead of being a solid outside and then an inside with ribs, each of these will be separate sections. It'll break the model. It'll no longer be vase mode. And if you go the other way, if I go to if I scale this 250%, but I only have a 0.8 millimeter nozzle and I slice for that, then the ribs will not touch the outside. They'll be separate. You'll actually be able to take your hand like this and pull away, and the outer wall will actually not be attached to the ribs. This here, you can see these ribs are attached. They're fused. And that's because when it does this, hey, I did not give you permission to turn off. Nope, stay there. Switch over to this, So when it does this slice here, you can see there's actually a slight overlap, and I usually do that on purpose. So this gap here is supposed to be 0.8 millimeters because this is 0.4 millimeters wide, and this little leg here is 0.4 millimeters wide. So the combination of the two is 0.8. That's why the gaps have to be specifically 2x the nozzle diameter. I usually fudge that a little, so this gap is actually 0.75, and the slicer has enough tolerance built in. It will allow a certain amount of overlap before it breaks the tool path, and 0.05 is usually close enough that it doesn't break the tool path, and also far enough that you don't get your lines messing up the outer surface of the model. Because if the overlap is too much, then the ribs will start pushing. You can see that in one of these. You can see it in this model here. This is because of it prints like this, and so the plastic droops a little bit, and the result is you can see it. Yeah, there you go. See how the filament tends to tent over the ribs? So you can actually see these ribs protruding a little bit. That's because I was extruding such a fat, soft layer that the filament drooped a tiny bit between the ribs, which makes the ribs more pronounced. If I just did that at 0.2 layer height, that would go away, and it would have a nice smooth finish like this. But in that case, I didn't care, because the aesthetic detriment was minor, and that's a functional part. So I'd rather do the thick extrusion to have the stronger, faster printing part, because it doesn't need to be perfect like this needs to be. That one you can barely see the ribs physically. You can see them visually. There's a little bit right there where the ribs kind of pop through just a tiny bit. These parts need to be aesthetically pleasing, so low layer height, good bridging. That part is mechanical, so I don't care. I just went with thick layers. I'm not going to get it. It's in there, but I was printing this on the 1 millimeter nozzle printer, so it's this big, and I stopped with the part only printed that far because it was going to use 700 grams of filament. When I realized the outer wall wasn't attaching, I'd made a mistake when I made the model. I had the gap too large somehow. I don't know how I did that, but I must have accidentally moved it before I replicated it. The gap was too large, and the outer wall was not fusing to the ribs. They weren't fusing together, so you can actually pull the outer wall away from the rest of the model. Now with a 1mm extrusion print, that's not a big deal. It's still going to be a pretty strong model, but I'm not going to waste 700 grams of filament, so I canceled it. I'll make the correction and then I'll redo it. Especially because that's, $35 a roll filament. It's a nice gold metallic atomic filament. So I wasn't going to just let it finish. But I'm going to keep that partial part though, because that'll make a perfect candy dish. I mean, it's about that thick, so it's just the right size to put on a table and put candy or keys or something in it, something like that. A little tray by the front door or something like that, or a coffee table or whatever, countertop. But yeah, so I'll keep that. That'll be perfect. And basically, it's this only printed to here, but this big. So that'll be perfect. I'll hang on to that and use it. I'll make the corrections to the model and then I'll reprint it. And but what do you guys think? Do you think there's value in trying to make finished models? So like this one would be up on the store with flowers already in it. I was thinking of doing this with those blue violet flowers. I thought that would be really nice looking little wildflowers that we have growing around here. You can buy them. And maybe do this one with daisies. I thought that would look nice with daisies coming out of it. And these little ones would be perfect for roses and tulips. Roses and tulips look really good as single flowers. Calla lilies look pretty good as single flowers too. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's worthwhile? I mean, I got a few printed, so I could it doesn't cost, well, yeah, there is a listing fee, but it's not much. It's like 40 cents. But do you think that's a worthwhile thing? Do you think there's any chance people might be interested in that? I have no idea. Maybe eventually down the road, if it becomes popular enough, I could do custom. So you could pick the plastic, pick the design, pick the flowers, and I'll make a custom order. But wow, good job, Jerry. What kind of stuff did you make? Oh, a little you mount the wine bottle in it, kind of thing, like the giraffe one and stuff like that, and like the different kinds of ones they have. You have a picture of one? Nice. Here, I'll make you a mod temporarily so you can post links. How do I do that? Here we go. Yeah, I don't mind people who are here every week being a moderator. I trust you guys not to do stupid things. It's silly not to just do that. Anybody who's here every week is not going to do anything stupid. I still have some of this, even though it's PLA, I'm going to do it anyway. I have some of this, I have some of this, Protopasta mistakes, error pasta, or whatever it was called. But I still have some of this blue. I'm gonna try print one of these out of this blue, just because I think it's such a beautiful blue. I don't like using PLA for this because if it gets in the sun, it's done. Oh wow, that's beautiful. So this is just for empty bottle. Oh, it's a lamp. Oh, so you pick an empty bottle and you put lights in it. Oh, that's beautiful. That's cool. Oh, wait, let me make sure I show you guys what's going on. I'm looking at. Although you can click on the links and see it, but still. Why am I seeing? There it is. That's gorgeous. Now you see what I would do with something like this is I would run some epoxy down that hole while shoving a thin carbon fiber rod down that hole. And I would epoxy either a metal or a carbon fiber rod down that hole to make that shaft much more resilient, because that shaft will break. In a silk filament, yeah, that's going to break. That's beautiful, though. Stop popping up the stupid thing. Cool. Oh, the panda's adorable. Would you go away? Oh, that's great. So you did that one with multi-material? These are nice prints. These aren't simple. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Oh, the octopus is awesome. Oh, yeah, I like the octopus. Eventually I've got to get one of those, but I have no money. I got nothing. But yeah, I just missed that boat. Another 6 months earlier, and they might have sent me one, but yeah. Eventually. I want that new Soval SV08. That thing looks hot. It's basically a Voron 2.4 clone or something like that. Nice big build volume, 350 cubed. Well, 350, 350, 300, I think. Or something like that. Yeah, but eventually I got to get one of those bamboo printers just for that AMS functionality. The multicolor makes a big difference. That panda looks amazing. So I imagine you were selling those for a pretty hefty price. I mean, that panda, I don't think I could see charging less than $100 for that panda. 80 to $100 at least. I mean, it's going to use, $40 worth of plastic. With all the waste and whatnot, it's probably going to use, $3 or $4 in electricity. You were selling it for 55 and you made money? That looked pretty big. Yeah, true. It's black and white film. Oh, I guess you're using PLA. Yeah, those are going to be indoors, so you could probably get away with using PLA. But even still, man, with it's got to be a 20-hour print time for that at least. Even on a bamboo. Yeah, 1 day, 18 hours. So you figure you might get half that on a bamboo, so you're still talking about a full day. 19 centimeters tall, so it's not huge, but you're going to want to print it with pretty decent infill for strength. Although they're only using 10% gyroid. Huh. Actually, I think this is printed on a bamboo. So 1 day, 18 hours. Well, it's never the okay. I tell people when I design parts, like when I design a rocket part, it's got to be designed for the mission. But when you design a consumer part, the mission is not what the object does. The mission is the consumer. So for this to hold sand in my little my dumbbell unit, which was very popular at the show, that was pretty cool. People like that. But with this, it's a 1 millimeter thick extrusion. That does not need to be 1 millimeter thick to hold sand. This can be printed with a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, and it would still be strong enough to hold sand. But when you drop it, it's going to make a big difference. And it all depends on, do they have kids? Do they have pets? How often is it going to be knocked over? Is it going to be on a counter falling 4 feet, or is it going to be on a shelf and pretty safe? So now the panda's pretty safe because he's a nice bulky shape. All the parts of the panda have thickness, while the splash one has that skinny neck. And if some kid knocks that over, although that's an empty bottle, so that's a lot lighter with an empty bottle. But the panda should be plenty strong. So should the octopus. That shouldn't have a problem. Print with 3 walls and some infill, and that's going to be a pretty strong part. "38 hours is fast. That's faster than, well, that's only a little bit faster than they printed it. But still, 38 hours? That's a lot of machine time. Dragon and cat key. Oh, the dragons, the articulated dragons, they still sell well. And what are the cat keychains? Wow, apparently the P1S is pretty damned efficient when printing PLA. Cool. Yeah, it looks like the P1S consumes around 100 watts while running. That's pretty low. My my CR6SE consumes 154 watts while running. And his is only consuming 112. That's pretty impressive. So 0.112 times 24 is 2.688 times 0.147. So it's only 40 cents a day to run the P1S. So you only spent 50 cents on electricity to make that print. Now that doesn't include machine time. What is it, $600 for the P1S? I think it was $600 for the P1S, right? So 600, a grand with the AMS. So 1,000 divided by, let's say you get 3,000 hours before major overhaul. So it's going to cost you 33 cents an hour times 38. So you got $12.67 in machine cost, plus 0.5 cents for electricity, and you have you got 2 rolls of filament. How much did it weigh when it was done? I'm gonna guess 450, 500 grams, depending on how heavy your infill was. They use about a quarter roll of each. Let's call it cheap stuff. Yeah, about 500. Good. So about $10 in filament if you got the really cheap stuff. You know, like $8, $9 a roll. Let's call it $10 with waste. So that's $23.16 in actual cost to make the Panda, depending on how much waste there was. But the waste is only going to make a $1 difference at most. So you're looking at about $23 to $25 to make one of those Pandas. So that's not too bad. That's I mean, that doesn't include time, and time has to be factored in. Also, your pay has to be factored in. I usually do a 10-to-1 for pay. So I pay myself $20 an hour, but I make my hours 10-to-1. So 10 hours of printing time equals 1 hour of pay. So 38 hours would be 3 hours of pay. So you're not making that. Minus 55, you made $31. So you're paying yourself $10 an hour to make the Panda. I mean, that's not great, but that's not horrible. I'd be charging more like $65, $75 for that. Because that's $70 minus 23. That's 47 divided by 3.8. You're paying yourself at $75. You'd be paying yourself $12.40 an hour, which is not too bad, especially for what's largely passive income. You didn't make the model, you just sliced it and printed it. So that's not too bad. Okay, so $10 to $12 an hour you're paying yourself. As long as you actually put aside your 33 cents an hour, so that when you wear that machine out, you can replace it. Huh. Not bad. That's pretty good. for passive income, I mean, as far as income, that's not that good. But as far as passive income goes, that's not bad. You know, I mean, you got to do the slicing and stuff like that, but you only have to do it once. Once you do that once, you just hit print. Although that doesn't include failures. You know, a failed print is $12 gone. But you have enough margin in there to account for a lot of that. How did you choose the this is the other problem I have, is how do I choose what to charge? So how did you choose $55 for that print? Yeah, one failure on a big print like that could be costly, but you're using cheap black and white filament, so it's not so bad. I'm surprised at the low energy consumption. That's really impressive how little energy that thing takes. That also depends on what your electricity costs. My electricity averages 14.7 cents a kilowatt hour. I have no idea what yours averages. Mine is 11.2 cents a kilowatt hour off peak, 21 cents a kilowatt hour on peak, 24-hour average 14.7 cents. That's beautiful. You know, I'm a little careful with Etsy, especially if there's a bunch of other people on there. Just because it's a race to the bottom. So if you want to market it on Etsy, okay, you have to compete with the other people doing it. But when you're at a show, those people aren't on Etsy. You charge what's appropriate. You don't have to race to the bottom when you're at an event. Well, the big thing people forget is that I had one guy ask me to print something for him, and he's like, "Well, how much plastic is that going to use?" And I told him, well, about 500 grams of plastic is a similar. It's about a 1 pound print, and he's like, "So what's that? Like, 5-10 bucks in plastic?" I was like, depending on the plastic, anywhere from $5 for cheap plastic, all the way up to $20 for really expensive plastic. And he's like, this is just a black and white print. It's just black plastic. He's like, so what are you gonna charge me? $8? And I was like, no, you could print it yourself for $8. And he's like, but it only takes $5 in plastic. I was like, but it takes hours of my life. I'm supposed to pay myself nothing. I was like, dude, you're not asking how much it costs to make it. You're asking how much I'm gonna charge you to make it for you. I mean, do you go get your $3,000 paint job on your car and you tell the painter, well, it's only $100 worth of paint. You're gonna charge me $100, right? Okay, but people just they want it for the cost of the plastic. I was like, well, then go buy your own printer and go print it for the cost of plastic. After you've burned through about 5 kilograms of plastic trying to figure out how to make it work, and you finally get your first print, you'll realize that that print's worth a bit more than $5, isn't it? And then you got the problem of artists have a big problem with this, especially artists that are new, and it's their first time, is they undervalue their own worth. Digital artists understand that you don't make a lot of money with a single digital sale. You make money with bulk, because even though you design the part, the end user is doing all the work. They're providing the printer, the electricity, the slicing labor, the printer maintenance and operational labor. They're doing that all themselves. The way I describe it to people is I say, how much is a paperback book? A paperback book is it's roughly $5 or $6. $5.99, $6.99 for a paperback book. And I was like, okay, how much is a hardback book? $50. It starts at around $50. Sometimes you get them cheaper, but a good hardback's $50. I was like, okay, so there's a $45 price difference between the hardback and the paperback. I was like, so your story is worth less than $5. Wow. That's a lot. So we got to add another $5 to that model price. So it's more like $27 that model cost you, which is still not horrible, but holy cow, that's a lot of waste. That's a lot though. So now you have 55 minus. And what was your table fee? What did that cost you? Whoa! Holy shit! 30%. Okay, so you paid 30% table fee. Holy shit, dude! I didn't realize it cost that much. Fuck. 55 times 0.7. So you made $38.50 on the Panda model, minus $27 in realized cost. So you only made $11.50 on the Panda. That's, yeah, you need to be charging $75-$85 for that Panda. Yeah, you only made you either need to dramatically increase your volume so that you can amortize that table fee over a larger amount of sales. So that's like if you had $2,100 in sales, it would only be 10%. But because you only had $700 in sales, your table fee was a 30% surcharge. So you only made $11.50 selling the Panda, which means divided by 3.8, you only paid yourself $3 an hour to make that Panda. It just means you didn't make any money on the Panda. That's too bad. Without that table fee, you'd have done okay. It wouldn't have been so bad without that table fee. But yeah, you need to at least you need to be paying yourself at least $10 an hour. Well, you don't have to. You can make up for it with volume, because it is passive. Once you do the first one, it's passive. There's still work involved, and you still need to be paid for your work. But it's not like you're sitting there for 38 hours grinding away, at menial labor doing it. But I would want to see at least $7 or $8 an hour for 10 to 1. Remember, I take whatever my total hours and I divide by 10, and that's what I count my hours as. Because it's different for every model. I might spend an hour in the slicer tweaking it. How many hours did I spend making these? I've probably got 100 hours into them. Okay, 150 hours probably into making these vases, but that's going to be amortized over life. So if I make 150 vases, that's an hour per vase. If I make 1,500 vases, that's 10 minutes per vase. So that gets amortized very quickly, that initial outlay of time. But there's still time, I got to sit down, turn on the computer, run the slice, prep the memory cards, go to the machines, load all the filament. That's all work. You made a profit, but yeah, I would definitely charge more for the Panda. I would. But if the market won't bear more, then maybe you can't. But again, it is pretty passive. Yeah, but I think the rain screwed you. Yeah. They make what in a day? The heart is covering it up. Would you stop it? Damn it. There it goes. Oh, 2 to 4K? Yeah. See, if you made 2 to 4K, you'd have made a killing. That'd be pretty good. Yeah, that table fee really dorked you over pretty good. Why is my hair all crazy? That table fee hurt. Jesus. If you think you can make that, try to stay on good terms with that team. Make sure you go back again the next time they have a show, because a lot of the times these show presenters, they don't allow multiple of the same thing, or at least they limit how many. So, for example, if 10 people wanted a 3D printing table, they'd probably say no, because too many people will saturate the event for that product, and it'll also be difficult for each individual vendor to make enough money. Oh, good. Nice. That's a nice in. For the if it looks like it's going to be good for you, like you're going to make some decent money, you might want to consider packaging. You know, getting a hold of some nice boxes. You know, picture window boxes. Use a little blue tack to hold the product in the box, so it looks out the window properly. Um, the um, but the people, that kind of a person, you know, a wine person, they'll appreciate nice packaging. So that might, down the road, not now, that might be worth looking into in the future. But yeah, try to keep your connections up, because your connections are going to help you. If more people decide to do what you're doing, and you've already been going for the last couple of years, well, obviously you're a shoo-in. They'll say yes to you and no to someone else. The In the beginning, you can, for something like wine holders, you might be able to get away with a simple Easter basket type wrapping, you know, plastic wrapped around with a bow at the top kind of thing. Although that'd be a little harder for things like the octopus and the splash one. What were you selling the splash one for? That one was a pretty simple print. Yeah, presentation and packaging can be a big deal to snobs. Nice. I was thinking 30. 35 is good. You see now, see that's a oh, just for the base, not including a bottle. Okay, and did you sell it with the lights or just the base plastic itself? That's it. You included fairy lights. Good. Um, um, Now you see that's the kind of product where I would probably modify it. I would thicken the base of it so it had like a 1 inch thick base, and I would have a battery holder and a USB port on the bottom. If I go to edit stream, where's live reactions? Hmm, nothing there. Under monetization, where is it? Hey, DeWitt, how are you doing? Customization. Oh, live reactions. Nope, the heart's still there. Oh no, went away. Nice. Now, is there a downside to turning off live reactions? I don't think I've seen people use it. Yeah, that heart, it always covered up the last word in people's sentences, and there's no way to get around it. I would have to just, wait until another comment came up for me to see the whole comment. Nice. I don't know if you saw last week, DeWitt. First of all, scroll up in the chat and check out some of Jerry's models he was selling at a wine show. Beautiful models. So I don't know if you saw last week. I made this big giant box because I wanted to have a nice box, and I wanted to use the filament for that. And I have a lot of juice packets. So we use these. We fill up a water bottle with water, and then we dump one of these in it, and we have a lot of them. So I made this, and I completely stuffed it. It's completely stuffed with juice packets. So now the cats can't tear them apart, and I have a place to put it. But then I thought, I did that because of this, the shape. And I thought, well, can I do that on all four sides and make a vase? And the answer is yes. I figured out how to do that, and I made this beautiful vase. It only uses about 105, 110, maybe 120 grams. I don't remember how much it weighs. I'll have to look up in a slicer. But it's double wall. and ribbed and thick with a nice base. So this is actually strong. It's not a weak vase. And then I did another one in purple. And then I decided to do other shapes. So I decided to do a whole range from 1D to 6D. So I did a mini 4D. So 4-dimensional, or more correctly, 4 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I do little mini ones for like single flowers. And then I have the triangle, so 3D. This is the blood diamond red. Oh, there's a nice golden hue there. Ah, so I get the gold color if I backlight it. Light's shining through from here. But that came out really nice. And then, of course, I did octagon or a pentagon. There's your 5D. And I still have to do a hexagon 6D. And then I also did a 2D, which is the 4D squished skinny. So it's the 4D, but, you know, long and skinny. That came out really nice. So I'm gonna make the little one for free. That's what gave me the idea. The people at the therapy center, the one lady likes making flower pens. So basically, she takes a cheap pen and using fake flour, and then a piece of metallic green duct tape, and wraps it around the pen, and so you have a pen that's a flower. And I was like, can I make those and sell them, but make a nicer one? So I have some pen bodies that I made using and I also found some that were allow commercial usage that I downloaded from printables for the G2 pen fill, because I love the G2 pen. The Pilot G2 pen is my all-time favorite pen. And yeah, succulents are nice. So I'm gonna sell the models. It'll be a package. You'll get them all for like 10 or 12 bucks. I'll make the little one free, and then of course anybody who's on my Patreon, they get all my models for free. I don't have much in the way of perks to offer my patrons. So one of the things I offer is any models I make, my patrons get for free. Especially my long-term patrons. If you've been with me for a while, you're getting whatever you want for nothing. I even have guys who still only give me $1, but they've been giving me $1 a month for 5 years. You know, that kind of loyalty that deserves some kind of reward. But so I'll try it. We'll see if people buy it. And I also want to try selling finished products. So actually go get some marbles and grass and fake flowers and make an actual finished bouquet and see if people are willing to buy that. I don't know if they are. They may not. And we'll see. But I figure if I limit how many of these I make, I'm going to make a bunch of them just because they're cool. So if I limit how many I make, and then if they sell, replace them as I sell them. And if they don't sell, I don't have much invested. So I won't lose a whole lot. Yeah, thank you for that, Woozles. Woozlies? Not too many. There's not too much in the way of flea markets. I'm thinking about they're making an expansion of the local what do you call it? It's called Venus Park here. It's basically you got sports fields, dog park, you know. It's basically a local park for people to use. I'm thinking about trying to organize something like that. You know, maybe every once a month have a little flea market there to encourage people to bring their home goods and stuff like that. And see if I can build some interest in that. The problem out here is everything's far away. So if you want to go in, we went to the movies yesterday. My sister works for AMC. Yeah, farmers markets, but there's not too many farmers markets around here, just because there's not too many farms around here. It's all peppers and potatoes and peppers and beans and peppers and beans and peppers. That's what they sell around here. You know, you can't really buy tomatoes and cauliflower and broccoli and stuff like that. I live in a desert. It's the nature of the desert. Um, but the one of the problems is wind. Wind is brutal out here, and there's not much in the way of interior space for people to use. We went to the movies. My sister works for AMC in Tennessee. She's a manager at AMC, and they gave her a perk where she can share her movie benefits with family and friends. So she just, she adds you on her end, and then in your AMC Stubs app, you just get the benefit. And I could basically go see 2 movies a day, as many as I want. Just it's limited to 2 a day, but I can go tomorrow and see another movie. Next day, see another movie. Now that's not exactly super practical for us though, because it's 80 miles round trip to go to AMC. 80 miles. Even the nearest theater at the bottom of the mountain is 50 miles round trip. So it's only 30 extra miles to go to AMC. But no, that's a large gas cost to go to AMC, and then of course you want popcorn and crap. So my brother Logan said that he'll help out with the gas and pay for Michelle's popcorn and soda. I didn't need any. I just drank some of the soda. Although the popcorn was pretty good actually. I don't normally like popcorn. The kernels get stuck in my teeth and I hate it. But that popcorn was pretty good. So we went to the movies yesterday, and it was fun. First of all, it's a 12 theater AMC, so it's a small AMC, which is really good for us because Michelle doesn't have to walk that far. She can't walk very far. She has to be able to stop and rest. So the big AMCs, you can walk 400 feet before you get to your theater. So we went and saw Abigail. I'm not into horror movies. They're usually kind of boring. They're not scary, and they're usually boring. But Abigail was absolutely fantastic. That is a must-see movie. I now know that I have a daughter, and her name is Abigail. She's about 300 years old, and she's a vampire. If I ever had a daughter, she'd be it. There's this one line in the movie that just sealed it. It was so perfect. Basically, the premise is this group of criminals is hired to kidnap this little ballerina girl and ransom her for $50 million to her dad. I'm not going to tell you what actually made that all happen because that's part of the movie, and that'll give away, and I know people don't like that. But anyway, it turns out that she's a vampire, and she's not trapped in this mansion with them; they're trapped in this mansion with her. And there's this one scene where she's eating one of the criminals, and she just this matter of fact little girl look on her face and says in this perfect tone, "But I like playing with my food." I was like, "That's it. That's my daughter. She's perfect." It was so good. Oh, it was very, very good. It was a good movie. I would definitely put that in a must-watch category. That was a good movie. Oh, it was fantastic. It was so good. Oh my god, it was so good. I don't like I said, I don't normally like horror movies, not because they're scary, but because they're not scary. They're boring. You want to see a movie that'll make you jump out of your seat? Go watch what's that movie? Something Horizon. Was it Deep Horizon, Dark Horizon? The spaceship that goes through the warp portal that actually goes to like a dimension of hell. It's a sci-fi horror thriller movie. Something Horizon. The soundscape of that movie was just, and they know how to make you jump. That was a good movie. But Abigail was just hilarious. It was so good from start to finish. The acting wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty good. The script was good. The effects were great. Event Horizon. That's it. Event Horizon. Thank you, 3D Medic. But Abigail was fantastic. If you don't want to go to the movies, it's already available for download. You bet your ass I'll be downloading it again and watching it. But yeah, they did a really, really good job. I was thrilled by it. Maybe it's just because I'm thrilled at the idea of eating bad people. Oh, that's got to be my favorite line in a movie in the last 10 years. But I like playing with my food. As he's covered in blood eating the guy. Oh, it's so good. But definitely a must see. Unless you get scared by that kind of thing, I would not consider it a scary movie. It did not cross me as scary. At least I didn't think it was. I thought it was hilarious. But I'm weird. But yeah, that was definitely worth going. She was happy she went. I was happy we went. So we're gonna try to do that once a month if we can. The gas wasn't as bad as I thought. It didn't even take a quarter tank. Driving around here, I get 15 to 18 miles per gallon, but driving on the highway, I get 36. And I guess that's mostly highway, so it didn't use nearly as much gas as I thought. It pisses me off because I should be able to use my electric car to do that. I mean, before my battery went bad, my car could make 80 miles. It could drive to AMC and back. And then hell, at that rate, as long as we brought our own drink, we could go to the movies, twice a week if we wanted to, because it would only cost $3 in electricity. God, Nissan pisses me off. I'll never buy a Nissan again. Never. I mean, a used one maybe, but I'll never go to a Nissan dealership and buy a Nissan if they won't stand behind their. I mean, it's not a bad car. The car is a good car. It's not. This is not fanboyism. It's a good car. But if they're not going to stand behind the warranty, fuck them. I mean, I very clearly have a bad battery that I've been telling them about for the last 4.5 years, from while it had a bumper-to-bumper warranty, to while it had a powertrain warranty, to while it was just under the battery warranty, and they just refuse to acknowledge that there's anything wrong. And I can't afford a lawyer to go after them. I mean, what can I do? I mean, I showed them video of the car turning off on the highway. I was able to reproduce it. Now I don't do that anymore because now it turns off permanently when I do that. Before I could just let off the gas and regen would kick in and the battery would come back. But now when I do that, the car shuts down permanently. And the only way to bring it back is to plug it in. I'm actually trying to... I have a EVSE that I can lower the power. And I was able to lower the charge rate down to 900 watts. Which is nice because that means I can solar power it. 1,200 watts of solar panel will be more than enough to power that. So I'm trying to figure out a way to use my 1.5 kilowatt battery box. I have a big battery box. I'm going to see if I can make my EVSE work with that. Because I don't have to charge the car. I just have to plug it in for a couple of minutes for it to reset the computer to allow me to turn the car back on and keep driving. And but now I can barely go 40 miles. Because even though the battery has plenty of capacity in it, those bad cells bring the whole pack voltage down low enough that it just doesn't go. And so, the battery cuts out at around 40 miles. The car doesn't even have 40,000 miles on it. I mean, but what can I do? I can't afford a lawyer to sue them. And they tried fucking with me. The guy says, oh yeah, we see indications of possible rodent damage. They're basically trying to get out of warrantying it. And by saying they see rodent damage. I'm like, yeah, sure. 400 volt DC lines and you see rodent damage? You're so full of shit, it's not even funny. So I said, okay, replace the battery. And he looked at me and was like, what? I was like, you said it's $8,000 to replace the battery, right? I was like, go ahead and order one. And he's like, okay. And I was like, yeah, and just give me a receipt showing rodent damage, and I'll take it to my insurance company. It's covered by my insurance. And he stopped in mid-step. And he's like, we can't do that. He's like, what do you mean you can't do that? You just told me you see signs of rodent damage. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And you said it's $8,000 for the battery. So give me a bill for $8,000 that says rodent damage, and I'll take it to my insurance company, and they'll cut you a check for $8,000. He's like, we can't do that. I was like, yeah, because you're full of shit. The guy next door said, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I was like, he trying to tell me there's rodent damage on the battery." So when I told him to give me a bill that says rodent damage and $8,000, and I'll go to my insurance company to get it covered because my insurance covers that, he won't do it now. And that's because he's lying through his teeth. There's no rodent damage. They just don't want to warranty the battery. And they can't give me a receipt that says rodent damage because the insurance company is not just going to blindly hand me an $8,000 check. They're going to ask for proof. And when the Nissan can't provide any proof, they're going to deny the claim. And they know it. But even though I have them right to balls, what can I do about it? There's nothing I can do about it. I love my fucking car. God damn it, I love my car. What are you going to do? I don't know if it's Nissan or if it's the dealership. I know to some extent Nissan's hands are tied. But I also know that they can make exceptions. And they don't seem to be going out of their way to help me. You know, I've called the ombudsman and whatever, from Nissan Consumer Affairs, and all they do is, connect me back to my dealership and say help them out. And the dealership then just does nothing again. I went back again. They said, "Oh, it's the 12-volt battery." I was like, "There's nothing wrong with the 12-volt battery." He's like, "Our system says the 12-volt battery is bad." I was like, "I don't care what your system says. You goddamn well know that a 12-volt battery isn't going to cause the car's BMS to shut down at 70 miles an hour." I was like, "What load is going to cause the BMS to shut down at 70 miles an hour? Because you're drawing more kilowatts." But they said, "Well, we can't do anything." So $200, because I wasn't going to pay their price. So $200 I had to replace. Oh, I need power. I've been letting the battery run down to exercise it a little bit. %, good. I was letting the battery run down a little bit to exercise it a little bit. Leaving them plugged in all the time just destroys the battery over time. So I went home and bought a fucking 12-volt battery, came back, installed the 12-volt battery, and that cost me $40 in fucking Uber fees or Lyft or whatever the hell it was. And put the battery in, and they tested it again and said the computer says it's fine. I was like, the fucking car turns off on the highway. That's not fine. They took it for a test drive, said we can't reproduce the problem. I was like, did you go on the highway? He's like, no. I was like, then you didn't try to reproduce the problem. I was like, it doesn't do it on flat level ground. It does it when you try to reach highway speeds or when you try to climb a hill, when you actually draw power from the battery. At low power drains, it doesn't do it. I could tool around town all day and it'll give no indication something's wrong. But as soon as I try to climb a hill or as soon as I try to hit 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, that's when you're going to see it. Oh, scumbags, man. Hey, SPC. Is that related to there's that whole fictional fan-driven, community-driven thing where you have different mutants and creatures and stuff like that, that have different powers. Is that related to that? My eyes were killing me again. It got so bad I actually have discoloration along here where the pus damaged my skin. That's what happens. Whatever this pus is that comes out of my eyes, it damages it's not the eyes that are hurting. It's the skin around the eyes that hurts. And I waited too long to take another dose of Advil. For some reason, Advil seems to help with it. Oh, by the way, if you're in the U.S., go get your free chicken McNuggets at McDonald's today. In the McDonald's app, they have a free 6-piece nuggets. No purchase necessary, just straight up free. I'll be getting myself 18 chicken McNuggets because I got 3 devices with 3 accounts. So that'll be dinner tonight. Dinner's free on McDonald's dime. But yeah, go in the app. As far as I know, everybody gets it. It's a free 6-piece nuggets, no purchase necessary, no nothing. You just get a free 6-piece nuggets. And the 99-cent iced coffee is back. I'm so happy. Yeah, Event Horizon was very good. There was that one scene where he's looking through the window out into space, and the music is building and building and building, and you're like, what's going on? And then you hear that as he closes the shutters on the window, and you just jump in your seat. They just build it up so much to that. It was very good. It wasn't even scary, and you still jumped. But the tension and anticipation, they knew how to do that very well in that movie. It's also nice that they weren't busy, so there's no line or anything. I guess Tuesday is not a popular day for that AMC. They used to be $5 to go see a movie on Tuesday. Now it's $8 to go see a movie on Tuesday. Not such a great deal anymore. But with my sister's benefit, we can see them for free. Just gotta spend the fuel to get there. Here's the thing you do. There's a free drink, no purchase. The wait is only 15 minutes. What are you doing? I didn't see a free drink. I guess it's different in different places. Okay. But here's another thing. If you want to use 2 offers, like I'm gonna get the 99-cent iced coffee as well. It costs me $1.40 to make an iced coffee at home. It's 99 cents to get one from McDonald's. It's actually more than $1.40. Not in Canada, no. That's why I said it's probably U.S. only. Um, they have a McDonald's app, and you can use you can get points. There you go. So there's the free nuggets. There's a 99-cent iced coffee, and you can well, first of all, if you use your points to get something, there's no wait to place another order. How I've tried staging it, it doesn't work. So I placed an order for a reward, one of the offers, and then I placed an order for points, which it let me do immediately. But then when I tried to place another order for offer, it still counted the time from when I placed that first order for 15 minutes. 52,000 points? I thought my 12,000 points was a lot. Holy shit, dude. Make sure you use those. They expire after 6 months. The oldest points, they don't all expire, just the points that are older than 6 months expire after 6 months, at least in the US. Maybe that's different in Canada. Like you might have laws that don't allow them to expire them. I don't know. But I know, well, here, when you go into the app, where is it at? Yes, okay. So when you go into the app, tap on your points in the upper right-hand corner here. And then where it says View History, right below the points there. So you can see here, I have 644 points expiring by August 1st. So I have to make sure I use at least 644 points by August 1st, or they just go away, those 644 points. So check that and see if yours do that. And you can see your whole history, when you see I just spent a whole bunch of points. I only use the points for two things, because most of the things that they offer for points are actually not a very good deal. It's a waste of your points. But there are two things that are a good deal. Hash brown, 1,500 points. McChicken, 1,500 points. And that McChicken always costs me $1 because it only costs $1 to add a second patty. So using my points plus $1, I get a double McChicken for $1. I doubt there's much of a difference. Oh, so you get longer than 6 months. You might get a year before they expire. There must be like laws that restrict how fast they can expire them or something like that. But let's see here. So view all. So for example, the 1,500 point ones are the only ones that are worth it. Ice cream cone, McChicken, hash browns. The rest, I don't think are worth it. 3,000 points for a 6-piece McChicken. I can get 2 McChicken sandwiches for 3,000 points. I just don't think that's worth it. Large iced coffee, for 99 cents, I can buy one. And then, it just gets more expensive after that. 6,000 points for a Big Mac. I can get 4 McChickens for that 6,000 points. Because Big Mac's not all it's cracked up to be anymore. It should be a crime. They shouldn't be allowed to call it a Big Mac because it's no longer big. 7 months? Okay. Here's a trick for you, 3D Medic Vents. So what I will do is, since I'm going to be getting 2 rewards items from them, I'm going to get the free 6-piece nuggets, and I'm going to get the 99-cent iced coffee. What I'll do is I'll order the McChickens before I leave the house. So I'll order them like after I go pick up the veggies from the produce pickup. I'll order them from the house. And so by the time I get to the McDonald's, it's already been 15 minutes. Because the 15-minute timer is not from when you pick up the order. It's from when you place the order. So place the order before you leave the house. So by the time you get there, the 15 minutes is already expired and you can immediately place another order. You just have to go around drive-thru twice. Oh, wow. It used to be 99 cents any size soda. I used to go to McDonald's to get a soda just because their Coke tastes better. The Coke dispensary at McDonald's is like a science. They've figured out everything from the carbonation to the temperature to the straw size, and it really works. It does taste different. But now it's $1.69 for a large. Like, no, thank you. For $1.65, I go to Sonic and get a 44-ounce, Route 44. Yeah, that'd be nice. Dollar cones and dollar drinks. We don't get that kind of thing. It changes every month. There's things that tend to be common, like free double cheeseburger or 6-piece with buy one get one. That tends to be pretty common. So far, the 99-cent iced coffee has been always there, except last month it wasn't on my phone, but it was on the other phone. I don't know why. Now it's back on my phone, so that's good. Another thing that's very common and an incredible deal, you cannot make this at home for this price. $1 breakfast sandwich. Hello! And lately they have a second coupon for $1.50 breakfast sandwich. So, the first thing I would do is I'd take all 3 of my devices and order a breakfast sandwich, and Michelle would order one on hers. We'd go through the drive-thru, get 4 sandwiches, and if we were hungry for more than 2, we then order the $1.50 one. And we munch on our sandwiches while we're in the parking lot until the 15-minute for the second order expires, and then we order our iced coffee. They don't have it exclusively to taste a certain way. That's not what's happening. McDonald's has put in the work to figure out the right temperature, the right mix of syrup and the right size straw and the right amount of carbonation to get the perfect flavor. Even the size of the straw makes a difference in the flavor because it controls how much of the liquid versus carbonation hits your tongue, and that affects flavor. And so it's not a matter of exclusivity, it's just that they've done the work to figure out what they need to do to make it taste good. And it works. It tastes good. Hey, Ciro, how are you doing? Now you always have this one here is always there, 20% off, 5+. So a lot of the times, what I'll do is I'll order the daily double or the daily bonus. McDonald's has this you know how they have the double cheeseburger, okay, but they also have this other sandwich. It costs a tiny bit more. Excuse me. Wow. Hang on, I'll find it for you. Here we go. It's called the Daily Double. And I'm actually annoyed that they charge more than the double cheeseburger. It's only 20 cents more, but they shouldn't be because although wait, does that only give you one? Oh, they used to give you 2 slices of cheese on the McDouble. Now it's only 1. But basically, it's the McDouble, but you get lettuce and tomato, all the other stuff, and it tastes so much better with lettuce and tomato. So what I'll do is I'll order 2 of those daily doubles and use the 20% offer and get 20% off. So you get $1.20 off. You're getting the sandwiches for $2.30 each. So that's not bad. That's actually pretty good, and they taste good. And I'll ask them for a single thing of barbecue sauce. Usually, if you nicely say, "Can I just have one barbecue?" they won't charge you. They'll just give it to you. A little bit of barbecue on a sandwich. Yum. It's good. But oh, and the steak bagel's coming back. They already have it in Colorado, but they don't have it here yet. The lady at the McDonald's said that we should be getting it in September. I love the steak bagel. I hope it's part of the $1 breakfast sandwich offer, but I doubt it. It'd be nice though. Oh, $1 steak bagels. Oh, but now they took away the $1 large fry. I'm hoping they bring it back. Let's check the other device. I have an account on my tablet too. Let's see if you all. Let's see. Free when you buy one. Free quarter pounder or Big Mac when you buy one. No purchase necessary 6-piece. I'll get that. All right, this one doesn't have it either. So it looks like they got rid of the $1 large fry. For the longest time, they had a coupon, $1 large fry. It was good every day of the week except Friday, because Friday's when they had the free medium fry with a $1 purchase. But every other day, Saturday through Thursday, you can get a $1 large fry. They got rid of that for some reason. That sucks, because we use that a lot. We'd get a large fry and an iced coffee. So $2, and we got a large fry and an iced coffee. If there's 2 of you, your best deal is to get the basket of fries. Mine's a free medium fry with a $1 purchase. That's what we have. Now, also, if you like we don't get breakfast too often at McDonald's, even though we should because it's so damn cheap. I mean, seriously, $3 for breakfast. Where else are you gonna get breakfast at $3? That's 2 sandwiches and a nice coffee for $3. But they also have double points for breakfast. So at the bottom, it's only on weekdays, but you activate that and you get double points. Oh wow, you get 30% off. Ours is 20% off. Yeah, well, that one's a pretty permanent one. It's 20% off $5 purchase. Minimum 5. So if your purchase is 4, you don't get the discount. it's 5 or more. But that's permanent. It's always been there. 20% off. I've never seen 30% off 5. That's nice. They do have we don't get this because it's too expensive. It's cheaper to eat at home. But they have a $6 Big Mac McCrispy or quarter pounder with medium fries, medium soft drink. That'd be better if it was a large. But we get we're the cheapskates. We get the 99-cent breakfast sandwiches and the 99-cent iced coffee. And then I have another phone in the car. I pay $30 a year for a Red Pocket SIM card. You only get 200 minutes and 1,000 texts and 200 megabytes of data, which is more than enough for a car phone. It's my backup for GPS and stuff like that. And I run the Progressive app on it for insurance. But I signed up for a McDonald's account on that phone, and I signed up for a McDonald's account on my tablet. And oh, by the way, if you have the money to buy a second phone account, I don't yet, so I don't have one in here. But these Chinese tablets, this is the Blackview tablet. It's got a Helio G99 processor, 256 gig ROM, beautiful large screen. You know, it's basically a flagship phone, but in a tablet form. 20,000 milliamp battery. The last time I charged this was 2 weeks ago, and my battery is at 48%. The last time this was plugged in was 2 weeks ago. It's ridiculous. The battery is so freaking big. But here's the cool part. This tablet has a SIM slot. Now, that might not be that unusual. A lot of tablets and laptops have SIM slots. Now, here's the weird thing. This is not a tablet. It's a phone. As far as the SIM card's concerned, this is a phone. And that's a very big deal. Because if I were to take my Lenovo P10, very, very nice tablet with an Atmos, surround sound dock. I love that tablet. That's a tablet. Okay, so that's like a laptop. Now, if you plug a SIM card into a tablet, you do not get data. You do not get the internet. You have to pay separately for that. And the difference is DUN versus tethering. Okay? Or no, not tethering. There's a protocol. Each form of access to the network has a protocol. Texting is a protocol. Phone calls are a protocol. VoLTE is a protocol. VoIP is a protocol. And accessing the internet is through a protocol. Now, there's 2 protocols for internet access. You have dial-up networking, or DUN. That's a carryover from the old dial-up days. But like in the early days, I could connect my phone to my laptop and use the data. It wasn't very fast, but it was there. Now, when they realized more people want to do that, they separated it. So your phone does not use DUN. Your phone uses cellular data. Your phone uses cellular data, not dial-up networking. Your tablet and your laptop use dial-up networking. And this way, the network can distinguish the difference between a phone accessing the internet and a computer accessing the internet. Why is that important? Because I want data on the bigger screen. I want to watch YouTube on the larger screen in the car. So I asked them, is it a phone or a tablet? And it turns out it's a phone, which means when I take my $20 a month unlimited data prepaid SIM card and put it in that tablet, it's a phone, which means I get unlimited data. Yes, it's nice. It's very, very nice. As soon as I have the $180, I'm going to buy a unlimited data US mobile SIM card. It's $15 a month, but you got to pay for the whole year in advance. As soon as I have an extra $180 burning a hole in my pocket, I'm getting a SIM card for the tablet. That's going to be a long ways away, though. I don't have that kind of money. But if you get one of those nice Chinese tablets, so far most of them are phones, not tablets, which means you can use unlimited data prepaid SIM cards in the tablet. If I put that SIM card in this laptop tablet or in my Lenovo tablet, it won't work. It'll work, I just won't have any data because it needs DUN, dial-up networking data, or tethering data. And as you know, they charge separately for that. Mostly because it's bullshit for tablets. Because a tablet is the same goddamn thing as a phone. There's no difference between the tablet and the phone except the size of the screen. Which means the tablet is not going to use any more data than a phone would. So the idea that they separate tablets is bullshit. Laptops, yes. I use 2 to 3 gigabytes of data on my phone. I use a terabyte on my tablet, my laptop. So I can see them separating that. But it pisses me off that they separate it for tablets. But the Chinese ones, they act as phones. So you can use the prepaid SIM cards in tablets, which is nice. Still can't tether, but that's okay. Oh man, being able to tether would be nice. I wish they would give a little bit of data for tethering. Give a gigabyte. Just a gigabyte. It's enough to check email, enough to log into an airline site or something like that. Just Bluetooth over and just do a little bit. I wish they wouldn't be so stingy with it. But what are you gonna do? Amazon's been annoying this month. I'm creeping up on $175 on Amazon. I'm hoping I'll break $200 this month, but I keep creeping up. Lots of hits, lots of clicks, but no one's buying. My Series 3 data is real big. Lots and lots of people clicking, but 83 cents, $1.03. Each day, the people just aren't buying very much. But I gotta figure out how to improve that. I'm still waiting to see if anybody prints one of the dumbbells. I don't think anybody's printed one yet. I still have to slice it for 0.4 millimeters. That's my fault. That's 100% my fault. Damn it. The model files I uploaded are only really made for a 1 millimeter nozzle. Although if you set your slicer for a 0.5 millimeter extrusion width, and then do everything to perimeter, it's the same thing. You'll get the same strength. It might not be quite as clean, but it's a dumbbell. Who cares? It doesn't have to be pristine. I guess that's it for this week. The funnels work great. I've been using this to fill the you only need to print that much of it if you just want to do the same thing I do. The only reason I made this big is so I can stand up and not have to crouch over, because bending over is difficult. It's not hard to bend over. Staying bent over is very strainful. I'm heavy. But yeah, this works freaking amazingly. I pull the spout up, I jam this in there, and the tube gets jammed in there like that. And I can just pour the water in as fast as I want. It's nice. It works very well. So I'm glad I printed that. I only have that here to show people, otherwise I keep it next to the water fountain. And the funnel works great. No problems with that. I was going to reprint this at a lower layer height to get rid of all the little separations there. That's because each time I change the size, each time I change the size of this to make it smaller, this angle ended up getting steeper and steeper, because obviously instead of being up here, now it's down here, and I just passed the point that 0.8 millimeter layers work. This really needs to be a 0.6 millimeter layer, but it's a functional print, and it works fine. So I don't want to waste the plastic to reprint it just to make it pretty. So I'm not. I'll just use it, because the inside has a different angle, and the inside printed perfectly. No issues. Well, I got an issue there where on that printer, for some reason, every now and then that's easy. I thought I made a video about that specific thing. Maybe I didn't. But here, let me show you. You're gonna love this. It's so easy. All you do is download Prusa Slicer. So let's see, Wave Vase. Let's see. Where's my Wave Vase? I guess we'll use the 3D one. So here's my vase in Prusa Slicer. No errors detected, so I don't have to correct anything. First of all, if you have any errors, right-click the file and go to Fix by Windows Repair Algorithm. So if there's any errors, that'll fix it. So you run that, and then you delete it, and then reload it, and make sure it says no errors. And there you go. No errors detected. Now here's how you make it smaller. You right-click, and you go to Simplify Model. See here, Simplify Model? Change it to the highest setting, extra high. I usually use high, okay? And you can actually see, does it tell you? Yeah. So you can see the difference here. This is going to reduce this from 28,530 triangles to 8,010 triangles. So let me show you how little difference this makes. Copy here. Okay. So we're going to go high, which is going to bring us down to 7,262 triangles. Apply. And now we go right click. I think it's still doing something. Here we go. And now we go export STL-OBG, and we replace the original one, which is 3D. Replace it. There you go. Now we're done in Prusa Slicer. And now you see my file has gone from 1.36 megabytes to 354 kilobytes. See? So not only does it simplify the triangles, it dramatically reduces the file size too. So now it went from 1.36 megabytes to 354 kilobytes. And you cannot tell the difference. I don't know if I like this with the 3D printer in this preview. It's kind of silly. I don't need all this. I'm not happy with the virtual bed. So take that one and take that one. Excuse me. Do as you are told. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but can you tell the difference? Can you tell the difference? I can't tell the difference. They look exactly the same to me. This is a relatively low poly model. It just had way more. Here, this is a higher resolution area. I can't tell the difference. And yet this model here has 1/4 the triangles of the other model. Because there's just a lot of extra in there that isn't needed. So very, very easy. You bring it into Prusa Slicer. If there's any errors, the first thing you do is you run the repair algorithm and you export the file, save it. Then you delete it, bring it back into Prusa Slicer, make sure it says no errors. And then look over the model, make sure the error correction didn't do anything to it. Make sure it didn't fuck with it. So make sure you have a copy of your model. Do what I just did. Copy the model so you have an untainted copy in case something screws it up. And then reduce the triangles. You right-click, simplify model. I never pick extra high. I pick high. Now, if you have a really highly detailed model, go to extra high. But as you can see, it reduced it by 75%. It's huge. It's a very nice feature to have. Does Simplify have anything like that? I don't think so. Repair. So there's a way to repair. Remove duplicate and orphaned. I know this does simplify the model a little bit. It does help a little bit. Identify non-manifold, but no, there's no option to actually simplify the model. Mesh. Ah, mesh. Oh, there is. Mesh reduction. Oh, interesting. Let's try playing with that. I bet you that's what it is. Mesh reduction. Minimum triangle side length? I don't know what that means. That didn't affect anything. Did it make it smaller? Let's find out. Export binary STL. Copy to. Vase. Yeah, it did. It cut the file size in half. It went from 1.36 to 761. So what happens if I do a little more? Mesh reduction. Let's do minimum. Let's do 1.5. Ah, see, now we're starting to affect it. See how this changed? We just damaged the model. We don't want to do that. Watch. Watch this area right here. Edit. Oh, I can't undo. Ah, another reason to oh, wait a minute. Does it still base it off the original? No. It does. It is permanent. So you want to make sure you have a copy. So let's go back into here. Let's do mesh reduction again. Let's try 1.1. All right, that didn't hurt nothing. File, export model, copy to, yes. That got me down to 733. So it's not quite as good as the Prusa Simplify, although there might be ways to tweak it, but it does have this built in as well. And the 1mm seemed to work pretty good. Cool. About 1.3. That didn't break anything. See, nothing weird happened to the model. Oh, a little bit there. Yeah, see? See how this shape got a little weird here? So yeah, you don't want to do that. Although that you might not be able to see that. That might be invisible. Nope. Oh yeah, that broke it. Yeah, look at that. It broke my vase mode. That's what it broke. It broke the vase mode. Let's see if the if Prusa broke the vase mode. I don't think it did. Oh, sorry. I didn't even see the chat. Simplify 3D also has a mesh reduction mode. Sorry about that. I didn't see the chat either. If you go here, mesh reduction. However, when I did that, it broke the model. So I think it did too much. Hey Joe, yeah, we're on the screen now. That was my fault. So let's see if this breaks the model. Oh no, I did it twice. I replaced both my models. No, that's the original. Good. So here's the original. Here's the modified. Let's see if the modified still slices correctly. Yes, okay. So the Prusa Simplified does not break the model. The Simplified 3D's mesh reduction can break the model. So Prusa is doing something more than just a mesh reduction. They're applying some level of intelligence. So it looks like the Simplify in Prusa is safe. It did not damage my model, and it still slices correctly. So again, Prusa slicer. First things first, if you have any errors, see this is no errors, right click, go to Fix by Windows Repair Algorithm, verify it doesn't break the model, try slicing it, make sure it still slices right. Otherwise, you go to Simplify Model, I use high, and you can see we're going from 28,000 triangles to 7,262 triangles. Then you right click and go to export, STL, save it as a different file. And as you can see here, we went from 1.36 megabytes and 28,000 triangles to 354 kilobytes and 7,200 triangles. And now you can bring that into Tinkercad. Now, something else that you'll need to do in Tinkercad along that same line when you are messing with stuff like this in Tinkercad. So, for example, let's duplicate this. This has been open for a while, so it might crash. Okay, it didn't crash. It's dragging its feet, though. Oh boy, it's dragging its feet. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. What the hell? Come on. It's still doing something. Yeah. Something's slowing the page down. I know. Tinkercad is not happy. Probably better if I close it and reopen it. This way the memory gets refreshed. Oh, man. Hey, Michelle. We're going to go to McDonald's when I get back from the veggie stand. Free 6-piece nuggets. No purchase necessary. See all this crap going on? That's all the complexity that's built into that model. There we go. So now let's separate this. I think this one I already simplified it. But I'm going to show you a trick for... Let me bring the chat up on here again so I don't miss the chat again. Can a stock Ender 3 handle TPU without any modifications? Yes, it can. Any normal, typical printer can handle TPU without modifications. There are some conditions, however. When we say TPU, we're talking about 95A. We're talking about the really stiff, rigid stuff that you buy off Amazon. We're talking about that kind of TPU. If you're talking about, what's that really soft stuff? Who's the company that makes that really soft stuff? I can't remember. There's a particular company that was known for making the really soft stuff. If you're talking about the soft rubber bandy stuff, forget it. You're not doing that with a Bowden. I don't care how good you think you are. But the really stiff stuff, when you type TPU filament into Amazon and that stuff comes up, NinjaFlex, that's it. If you're trying to print NinjaFlex, forget it. If you're trying to print Amazon TPU, you're trying to print, Polymaker's 95A TPU, the hard stuff, the rigid stuff. If you smack yourself with it, it's going to hurt like a Twizzlers. That stuff will print on a regular Bowden setup. It can still escape, and it will happen. Because, flexible is just a bitch like that. But the trick is, first thing you're going to do is you're going to reduce your retraction to 2 millimeters. I don't care what your retraction needs to be, it's 2 millimeters. If you retract TPU too much, when you push the TPU, when you retract TPU, it doesn't retract. TPU does not retract. It just doesn't. There's no such thing as retracting TPU. When your printer retracts, you're not pulling the TPU back. You're just stretching it. Okay? Which means all the TPU is still there. Okay? It's just stretched. And when you go to try to push it again, it's now pushing against the stretched TPU that's still there. And when that happens, resistance goes up. And the moment resistance goes up, you increase the probability of the TPU going in your feeder. All right, and it'll escape your feeder, and that's when you end up with the TPU loop in your feeder going wee, and your printer stops. Well, no, your printer keeps going; it just doesn't feed filament anymore. So you need a relatively continuous, steady push of plastic, and you need to minimize retractions, and you need to slow everything down. I'm talking 20, 25 millimeters a second. Set your max throughput maybe to 5 cubic millimeters a second. Try that. And if it still escapes, slow it down even more. You got to slow down, reduce your retractions, optimize your travel moves. And if you do that, also don't forget to slow down your retraction and push speed. That's also a speed you can define. What you don't want is the printer going zit, 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 zit. You want it to go zit, zit, okay? You got to be gentle. And because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to go zit, zit, and then the plastic's going to go zit, zit, and it's a free, and you're going to have a loop of plastic coming out of your feeder. TPU is an escape artist. But the hard stuff, yes, you can print that on an Ender3. You can print that on a CR10. Any printer for the most part will print TPU just fine. If it's the hard stuff, and if you slow down, you make sure you print hot enough, 240 minimum, and minimize your retractions. You know, all you're trying to do with the retractions is take some of the pressure off. That's all. But yes, you can do TPU just fine with a Bowden setup. It's fine. If you want to help it a little bit, get the Capricorn tubing, and you want the light blue Capricorn tubing. That is the it's not quite as soft as the dark blue, but it's slipperier. Not quite as temperature tolerant, but it's slipperier. It's smoother. It's more slick. And also it's a tighter fit. The tolerance for the hole in the Capricorn tubing is tighter, so your filament fits tighter. That's important because when you where's my pad? Here it is. when you print with a soft material, you have to think of it like this. When you're printing with something like this is stiff. I can push this and it's fine, right? But when you have something more flexible, what happens when you try to push a rope? It does this. Okay? If the resistance here is greater than the amount of energy it takes to do this, it's going to do this. And so what's going to happen is you have a little gap right here between the gear drive in your feeder unit and the entry of your Bowden tube. Okay? And what happens is you push and the resistance in the Bowden setup all the way to the nozzle is too great. And so here's your gear drive on your feeder unit, and here's the entry to your Bowden tube. And what happens is the plastic will bend right there and just start doing this. And you'll be printing, and your plastic will just be doing this at your feeder, and it'll just be coming out there, and it'll actually do that, and you'll just have this big loop of plastic coming out. That's what TPU does when it escapes. Now, you can get feeders that reduce the likelihood of this happening. It's not the Bowden tube that makes this happen. The Bowden tube doesn't matter. That's a fiction. The filament is trapped in the Bowden tube. It can't go anywhere. I don't care what people say. It can't go anywhere. Now, Bowden tube becomes a problem with NinjaFlex. I'll explain that in a second. But regular 95A TPU is hard enough that the Bowden tube doesn't matter. What matters is this. I'll switch screens once I bring a picture up. Here we go. Perfect. It's a shopping link, so that's not going to work. I need airs to top down. Open image. New tab. There we go. Okay. View. Full screen. There we go. Now let me switch screens for you. Okay. So here is your setup. Okay. This is actually the wrong angle. But it's okay. This will work. You notice how there is... Let's see here. You notice how there's a gap between the tangent where the filament is touched by the idler and the gear and this hole. Okay? See how there's a, what is that? 6 millimeters, 7 millimeters? Okay? So you have this little gap. Well, you have the exact same gap over here. It's not as bad. That's what this round, see this round section here? That's what this round section is for. This round section is there to reduce the distance between the shaft inside here and the tangent of these two wheels. So this big gap, of like, this might even be 10 millimeters. This 10 millimeter gap is only 5 or 6 millimeters on this side. And that's what this is for. That's what this little section here in the feeder unit, that's what it's for. Because this right here, not here, but on this side, although it can happen on this side too, this little gap here and this little gap here is where the filament escapes. The filament is flexible enough that it can bend right here and form a loop. Most of the time, it's here. It's not very often it happens here, because usually it only happens here when you retract. So you tell it to retract, it binds on this edge and loops. However, when you pull forward again, it undoes that. So it's usually not a problem unless it escapes out of this opening here, which the soft stuff can do. But usually it's over here. This here, but on this side. Let me see if there's a better picture of the other side here. That gives us an idea of what it is there. What I need is the other angle. That doesn't really show it. The cap stand here covers it. Cap covers it. All right, none of them have a good view. And none of them really have a good view. This, by the way, is what you need if you really want to print flexible. This is the king of flexible. This is called the Flexion. So the Flexion, as you can see, has this conformal channel on both sides, and there's a piece of PTFE tube that actually goes inside here and inside here, and the PTFE tube has it's cut to this shape like this, so that the actual end of the PTFE tube meshes with the drive gear and the idler. And this is, I think it's also a dual drive gear. And this one even has a brush. That is not what I asked you to do. This one even has a brush to clean off the drive gear because it gets caked up with material when it grinds a little bit from the filament. So this brush actually sits there, and the gear rotates over and it cleans off the gear inside here. But this is a completely captive filament path. If you properly shape the two little pieces of PTFE that go inside there, there is literally no place for the filament to go. It's physically impossible for it to escape. Let me try to find you a better picture. Here's a good picture. It's not a very good picture, but it's close enough. Okay? See? PTFE goes in, Now, if you see here, see, there's 2 pieces of PTFE here. These are actually separate little chunks that you cut. It comes with a couple extras. And when you take this apart, when you take these things apart, you can actually put a piece of PTFE in there and put a piece of PTFE in there. And they're triangle shaped in the end. They're cut like a triangle. So you can see here how it meshes. There is this little sliver here is the only place that filament could escape from, and it's not escaping from that. Maybe it could, but you know, the really, really soft stuff, this is what you need. You need this kind of, you need a completely constrained filament path. You need to give it no place to go. But 95A is stiff. That's really, really stiff TPU. You can get away with printing that on most any printer. You just got to slow down and reduce your retractions and make sure you're hot enough. As long as you go slow and print hot, 9 out of 10 prints should be fine. Let's see. Now, as far as why Bowdens are not good for TPU. Bowdens are not good for TPU once you go past 95A. And the reason for that is this. When the plastic does this. All right? Because it's possible for the plastic to do that inside the Bowden tube. So if you have a Bowden tube that looks like this, and then you have filament inside the Bowden tube, like this. Now that's a bit exaggerated, but it is absolutely legitimate that when you push the plastic into the Bowden tube, it's going to do this. Your plastic is going to do that inside the Bowden tube. Now, that's exaggerated, of course. But that's the reason for increased retraction for a Bowden tube. Because that might equal 3 millimeters of plastic. Which means when you retract 3 millimeters, you haven't retracted at all. Your retraction is 0. Because you haven't actually pulled the filament out of the hot end yet. All you've done is take that squirrely section and straightened it out. And now anything past that, now you're finally pulling the plastic out of the hot end. So you have to undo all of that first. You have to undo all of this until it's this. And now you're pulling the plastic out of the hot end. Well, flexible, that's even worse. Instead of this, it's this. And it squishes. So it's even worse with TPU. That's one of the reasons why one of the best things to print with TPU is a vase. Because once you get the flow right, you know, you'll look at the print and go, yeah, that's printing too thin. And you'll just increase the flow rate until you compensate for that flexibility. And then you get a perfect vase. And because it's a continuous flow, you don't have any events that might cause the filament to escape. But yeah, that's it. If you print 95A TPU, the hard stuff, the really stiff stuff, like it's almost not flexible, but obviously you can flex it when you flex it. But it feels like a soft PLA. But you know, the regular TPU, the whatever TPU you bought, it was, unless you paid a lot of money for it, it was probably 95A. NinjaFlex is very expensive, 2, 3, 4 times what normal TPU costs. You're talking $60, $70 a kilo, versus the $22, $24 a kilo for regular TPU on Amazon. So if you're paying $20, $30 for your TPU, it's 95A, almost certainly. That stuff, as long as you go slow, hot, and minimize your retraction, you should be fine. It's just not a problem. If you want to try to fix your printer to be a little bit more TPU friendly, there are ways you can do that. So you could take, this would require some level of machining. And, you know, you're probably better off just buying a flex compatible extruder. But if you really don't have the money, and or, hang on, I'm trying to do multiple things at once here. That is not what I asked you to do. You really need to do what I say before I get angry and start biting things. So what you can do is you can drill out this hole a tiny bit and drill out this hole a tiny bit until these ends will accept a piece of PTFE tube. You then you'll have to do it by trial and error, but you'll figure out how long a piece of PTFE you need. And what you'll do is you'll take your piece of PTFE tube, so imagine this is your PTFE tube here. Okay, so that's your PTFE tube, this one here, at the bottom. Okay? And what you'll do is you'll cut the ends like this. You'll cut the end of your PTFE tube like that. So what you end up with is, I'm sorry. You end up with a piece of PTFE tube that's shaped more like this. Okay? And the purpose of that is so that the PTFE coming out of here, you drilled this out to take the PTFE tube, and then that angled part of the PTFE goes in between the gear and the idler. One of the problems you're going to have is that this idler is flat. Now, there's a way you can fix that as well. You can actually probably 3D print a fix for this. Let's see. 3D extruder drive gear. Here we go. That's not the correct one. This is the correct. This is closer to the correct one. So you have this shoulder, and you have this. You have this shaft and this shoulder here. So collar, shoulder. It's more prominent on this one. See this flat section here where the gear starts? Okay. So what you could do is that's from the side. That's going to look like this. That's going to look something like this. Something like that. Okay. And then the shaft coming out of your stepper motor goes up inside here like that. Okay. So what you can do is you can 3D print a flat little washer, or find a washer that's the right size. You need a washer that is a large enough neck to fit over this collar, but thin enough that it doesn't interfere with the set screw. And what you want is to set that washer like this. You want it to be just like that. Ideally, you also want one on the bottom. Okay, you want a washer on both ends, and you epoxy these to the drive gear. Okay, so you epoxy one on top, and you epoxy a washer on the bottom like this. And what that does is that gives you because your idler also has a shape like that. Your idler is actually a little washer head like this. You see here? So this is your drive gear, and this is your idler gear. Right now, you have a pretty big gap between the idler and the drive gear. By adding the washers on top, you now have a captured path that is much, much harder. it's much harder for the TPU to get through that little opening there than the big giant opening you have now. The TPU will easily, the thinner stuff will easily come right out of that opening. It'll flatten out and push itself right out of that opening. That's why the Flexion, do I still have a picture up? No. That's why the Flexion has the 2 gears with the lips on both sides that almost touch so that the TPU can't get out that hole. And then you have your 2 pieces of PTFE tube on each end. So you can have a fully captured path, so that your plastic can't go anywhere. Now, getting rid of the Bowden and going to a direct drive, that eliminates the squishing of the TPU inside the Bowden tube. For 95A, you don't really have to worry about that. A regular Bowden works fine. However, if you go anything softer, now you're going to want to go direct drive. And you can go Creality direct drive. You know how you can get those plates and you mount the feeder right on top of the hot end for the Creality printer so you can use all your existing parts? You can do that. Having a short little Bowden tube is not going to break anything. It's the long Bowden tube that causes the problem. But yeah, you need to add that washer on top and bottom of this collar so that you can have a captured path here. And then you need the, good job, baby. Good job. Good boy. He just got a mouse. That's a good boy. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. If you let that go in my room, I'm going to throw a water bottle at you. Really? You're going to let it go right there? You're just going to let it go right there. If he gets away, I'm kicking you in the head. Okay? I'm going to kick you in the head if he gets away. Kitty just caught a mouse. Yeah, he's getting away. Come on, get him, cat. Good boy. Come on, catch him. Get him. Damn it. I hate when they let him go. It's like, come on, don't let him go. Damn cats. But yes, you can print TPU just fine on a regular printer. It just takes a little work, that's all. Now, making those changes I just showed you, if you can make those changes with what you already have, great. The hardest part is going to be this part here. It's going to be drilling out this hole and this hole to accept a piece of PTFE tubing. This one's pretty easy. You can drill all the way through if you want. It doesn't matter. You don't want to drill all the way through. You want to stop because you need that PTFE tube to have a point. And once you have a piece of PTFE tubing, you start trimming down that triangle tip, test fit it, trim it, test fit it, trim it, test fit it. And once you get it the right size, you put the piece of PTFE in here, you put the piece of PTFE in here with your captured drive unit, and you should be good. Now the bottom, you might be able to get away with just gluing a shim onto the stepper motor itself. So let me show you that. So this is your drive gear. This is your stepper motor. So here's your stepper motor, your shaft. This is your drive gear. This is your idler. You can glue a shim onto the stepper motor that covers up that gap on the bottom. This way you don't have to figure out how to put a washer on there. And that shim will also give you a double benefit of if you make it exactly the right size, when you change out this gear motor, it'll always go back into the same position because it'll hit that shim. And you don't have to worry about if it touches it, the plastic will just melt. It's not going to, as long as you're not jamming it on it, if it's just touching it, it's not going to affect anything. And then you only need the washer on this side to close that gap so that the filament can't escape. You could try putting a washer on the idler and just have it big enough to cover up the gear motor, but that's still going to leave a gap for it to get out. You really want it on top of the gear. What you really want is a knurled gear. These really are. This is, and it's super handy too. It's in book form. These are like $3 on AliExpress. But yeah, it's like a little book. It's a notebook, but it's a whiteboard. This is wonderful. When I saw this, I just had to have it. This is such an amazing thing. And of course, you just wipe it off, and you're good to go. Well, you're not seeing that, but you just wipe it off, and it's all gone. It's all that dry erase stuff. I'm going to get a thicker marker to put on this side, short one. And I just dropped it. It's gone forever now. I'm going to get a thicker marker to go with it in the shorties. I'm also going to cut this out and 3D print a nice stiff, hexagon infill patterned little sleeve for this. And then I'll cut these out and insert them into each side, so I can make a nice notebook. Because this is a bit on the flimsy side, but the form factor is awesome. I love the form factor. So I plan to do some customizing on that, but I love that little whiteboard. That is so handy. You let it go, didn't you, you dumbass? You let it go, didn't you? You caught the mouse, and then you let it go. Well, the good news is that usually, and I think that's how I'm getting holes in my clothes, too. When I have dirty clothes, I tend to just toss them in a pile here. And when the pile's about the right size, I toss it in the washing machine. I got to stop doing that. I got to start using a basket, because I think that's how I'm getting holes in my clothes. I think the mouse ends up hiding in the pile of clothes, and the cat is digging at the pile of clothes with his teeth and his claws to get to the mouse, and because that's usually where I find the mouse later on. I'll be pulling a flattened, dead, dried carcass of a mouse out of a folded blanket or a pillowcase or something, because that's where it ended up dying. The one good thing is that his teeth and his claws are sharp enough that when he catches a mouse, he tends to mortally wound it. So it's still alive and it runs, but it's dead. It's gonna die. It's gonna bleed out. And so usually I find the dead carcass later. If I have my grabber handy, I take the mouse from him. Because what happens is, as long as the mouse is running, he's energized. He's chasing it. But then when the mouse stops resisting, he gets bored, and he'll put it down, and he'll actually sit there and lay on top of the mouse and wait for it to do something. And if it doesn't do something, he'll pat at it. He'll try to make it do something, because he's a sadistic motherfucker. He's a cat. Okay, cats are sadists. But usually I'll wait until he gets laid down and the mouse is not doing nothing, and I'll slowly reach in with the claw and go, snatch! He'll jump up and try to grab it from me, but I usually get it up in the air high enough and he can't get it, and I take it to the toilet and flush it. But but yeah, that's what happens is he has the instinct to hunt and get it, but mice aren't food. The food is in a bowl at 9 in the morning and 9 at night. Okay, that's food. And so he doesn't understand that he can also eat the mouse. I don't want him to understand that. That's a good way for your indoor cat to get worms and parasites. You don't want them eating mice. And so just got to wait for my opportunity and snatch the mouse from him, if I can get it from him before he lets it go in my freaking room. Oh, what a cat. Do I still have those videos to show you guys? Where did I put those? No, it's not there. That's the annular eclipse. I have thermal camera video of my cats torturing a mouse in my bedroom in the middle of the night. I don't know where I put them, though. I don't know where it's at. Oh, you got it. Good boy. And he let it go again, and he caught it again. Because he loves the chase. That's what he wants. He wants the chase, so he keeps letting it go and then chasing after it again. That's why I gotta try to get it from him. Although at least each time he attacks it, he damages it. So, all right, I'm going to go up and get some veggies from the veggie drop. That's at in half an hour. I don't want to miss that this week. I missed it 2 weeks ago. And then I'm going to go get myself some free chicken McNuggets. I like free food. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this. If you're one of my patrons, these will be available pretty soon for free. Because I always give my models to my patrons, no questions asked. I gotta start actually doing that, posting them for you guys. And but I really like the little mini one. I love the octagon one, or the pentagon. The little 5-sided one really came out pretty nice. All right, that's it. I will see you guys next week. You guys have a great week, and thank you very much for joining in.